Captains of Industry, brought to you by Airtel.
When it comes to the domination of motor car brands, it's almost like World War I here in Africa. There's the French, there are the Germans, the Americans, and they're all battling it out for supremacy. Having recorded a worldwide sales increase of 18%, Renault has shown that a new French-Japanese partnership could be a winning formula. Locally, the company has clawed back its market share, especially after rolling out 6 new models in year 2010. Xavier Gobille is the French-born managing director of Renault South Africa, and tonight he's our captain of industry. Before the break, we were talking about whether Africa really is this new frontier that people are talking about. I mean, there's just a middle class of about 168 million people. India alone has 300 million people. So in terms of penetrating this market, with all the challenges, legal and regulatory, is it smooth sailing going into Africa?
It's not smooth, but it doesn't mean it's a challenge, but there's a lot of opportunity. I think this continent, like every continent, is dying to get access to motor car. It's one of the first expectations after to get home, of course, food, but after car is like a symbol of freedom. You can get further, you can see you can transport your family, you can see your friends further. So it's true in Africa as well. So for Renault, it's a fantastic opportunity because we've got what we call the M0 platform. Basically, is the platform we made of Logan. The Sandero was made in Roslyn, and also perhaps you heard about the car called Duster in Europe, but it's been 6 months' time just to get the car. This car has been designed, and we are the only brand we made. I would say a car designed for emerging market. It's been designed from the first piece, the first drawing has been done. What the emerging market wants to develop, and it's a car easy to maintain, low cost, giving all what you need, but not the extra, because the expectation from emerging countries are not the same one that when you live in Paris. And what Renault has done, actually in the late 90s, ahead of the time, is to think about the market is going to develop, and to get it, you need to develop a special platform, a special engineering to design car for these emerging and to make a breakthrough. And that's a car we've got.
Well, that's at a creative level. I know that you've led Renault across Africa, and now your focus is specifically in South Africa, and it's due to sort of restructuring within the Paris office. But from your experiences across the African continent, how do you find the approach to Renault? I said to you, in South Africa, you're battling out with the Germans, for instance, and we'll have that conversation. But in Francophone Africa, it's Peugeot and Renault. It's almost like an extension of that whole colonial relationship.
I think we're still in the past. I think now we've got, I wish it would be only the French car to compete. Look, it's a global war, like you just said. You've got the Korean brand, they are very strong, Japanese brand, they are very strong in Africa. But again, you've got always, like I would say, loser and winner, whatever the market is going to be. You just have to be smarter, to work harder in order to be on the right side of the market. And that's what Renault is doing everywhere in the world. Can you believe that 43% of the sale of Renault will be outside Europe, not France? So actually, Renault is not a French company anymore. And to come back on the World War II, do you know that Renault, with Nissan, the same group, we've got the same boss, Carlos Ghosn, with all about that, we're doing 7.2 million cars per year. We are the third group in the world. So the vision you've got from Renault in South Africa, as a small brand competing with the big, is not true. We are number 3 group in the world in the motor industry.
I want to go back to this issue of French nationalism, because you're raising it for the second time. And certainly my experiences, when I've traveled through French-speaking countries, I see French brands. And I suppose, yes, there's a historical relationship, it's natural, but it does reinforce this idea that Renault is about French nationalism. It's about a French expression.
Yes, I don't deny this, but we're not only that. That's what I mean. We want to keep this flair, the French accent, I hope is not too bad today. But we want also not to be narrow in this role of in the old days when Renault was a French brand. That's something. We're not French only. We're still French. We're very proud of it, but we're actually part of the world. And we're open. We are. Look in South Africa. I'm very proud to have a French flair, but my company is 99% with South African citizens, and we are proudly South African. There's no opposition between being French and to be proud to deal and to be completely integrated in the country you're dealing with.
Using that World War I/II metaphor, I mean, how do you feel when you see the dominance of the Germans, constantly pushing you into retreat, position number 3, and people seeing German cars as more premium brands?
It's perhaps the way you see it in South Africa. In South Africa, I would take Europe, for example. The second brand in Europe, the second brand is Renault. So we're on the move. Actually, in terms of growth, the Renault group with Nissan is the fastest growing group in the world. So we're not in a retreat. Actually, we are in the offensive. Perhaps people think that we are in a retreat. I can tell you, we are in offensive. You can speak to my competitors. They don't think we are on a retreat at all.
You've been quoted as saying you've never understood the idea of a concept car, and this is the creative element in terms of how you run the company. We know that Renault is due to roll out about 1 million electric cars by the year 2016. Is that a concept or a reality?
I think it's a reality, definitely. I believe that Renault with Nissan, we invest 4 billion euro just on this technology. And it's a real breakthrough. Look, as far as the motor car has been invented, it was always done with petrol. And now with an open route, after 200 years, the open route is electrical cars. And I think we are a little bit ahead. We've got 2 years ahead of the older competition. And we'll see if it's going to be a bet, a success or not. Yeah. But remember, with the cell phone before, so everybody will say, oh, cell phone, fancy smartphone, it's just something fancy reserved to the elite. And now everybody's got one. I know you've got one, I've got one as well. So I really believe that Renault, we're paving the way for something that's going to be big in the future, is electrical cars.
But isn't 1 million not a bit overly ambitious? I know it's the global target, but it seems quite excessive when you consider that you're still dealing with people in emerging markets, aspirational, like I'm saying, wanting those markers, those brands, those products that symbolize success. I don't know if the electric car is going to make it.
So let's talk 1 million car. What is the size of the market worldwide? Last year it was 73 million, and we're expecting to go to the 90 million. So actually we're talking, is it too bullish to say 1% of the market will be electrical vehicle? I don't think so. If you look at the big city in the world, what they're facing right now, and that actually is what is facing in terms of civilization is pollution. And it's not a question on market only. The key decision maker, we have to decide either they're going to save the city from emission, and what is going to be the solution for the city to survive, like Beijing or different big city, they are struggling with pollution. What is the solution for these things, for commuting? And I believe the zero emission is not only a marketing issue, it's a solution for humanity.
Do you think Africa is going to respond well to that?
I think Africa has to step up. The question is, the challenge people want is to access to motor car first. The zero emission is not to what is coming now. But again, Renault has to look at the market as a whole. You've got some room for electrical cars, but it doesn't mean we're putting all the investment in electrical car. Like I told you, we are the number one in entry model. And for example, you're right, in South Africa, what the market has exploded in the entry level, plus 60% last year in the emerging market. And that's where the Sandero has been fitted. So there's no electric vehicles and entry. We're doing the both. We're attacking the whole market.
Now, I said earlier on that you were once a race car driver, and indeed you were. You were a young Renault driver in the French Formula One Seater Championships. That was around 1987. Subsequently, you've gotten an MBA, formal degrees. But your relationship with Renault started when you were very, very young. Do you see your role as destiny?
I think my dad worked in an assembly line. I think perhaps when my first baby bottle was perhaps tasting Renault or motor cars, so perhaps it's the reason I got into the system. And I love motor cars. I've got petrol in my vein, and I breathe motor car. I love motor cars. I can watch Formula One when everybody say, oh, it can be boring. I think very exciting. So that's part of my mind, my culture, that's my DNA.
So if it's part of your DNA, do you not think sometimes you're a little bit too emotionally connected to the brand? You don't think that because all you've ever known is Renault, it can cloud your judgment?
I don't think so. I'm very open-minded. I've been in different countries, and I always look at market first rather than my brand. I think I'm trying to be as much as open as I can, and it's the reason why when I got into 2007, it was not the problem. Was not Renault as a brand. It was how do you see your market? How do you see your company? How do you see your people? What is the problem? you not only overcloud with your brand, because not everything is brand. Brand is power, but what is doing the job is people in your company, like a team pushing in the same direction.
Does it make your leadership a little more creative? The fact that you've been a race car driver behind the steering wheel, and now you must, make sure the balance sheet makes sense.
What I've learned from racing motorcar is to push yourself. When you are behind the steering wheel and you've got a full team, nobody's forcing you to put the throttle, and you're scared. Let's be clear. To say that we've got no fear is not true. But you need, when you think I can't go faster and you think you can, you have to push and you have to overcome your fear, because your team deserves you to make the extra mile. And what I've learned is in everybody, you've got extra power. But most of the people, they don't call this extra power. It's available, just ready to call, but you need to call it. You need to, I used to say to my team, may the force be with you. And the force means you've got the force, you've got something, as long as you're ready to dig into it.
You don't just drive fast cars, you've also climbed Kilimanjaro, you run the Comrades, you've bungee jumped, so you're a bit of an adrenaline junkie. How does that influence your leadership?
It just boils down to push your real capacity is not the one you think is. Okay, you need sometimes someone to tease you, to say yes, you can. You can fall, but if somebody is coaching you, helping you, trusting you, empowering you, by the motivation you're going to get, you're going to go to the extra mile. The famous one, 10%.
But is it extra mile or the extreme? I mean, bungee jumping, do you find yourself that sometimes you're just veering on the edge of reality here?
I don't think so. I think bungee jumping is seen by people who haven't jumped that extreme. What it is just a big step. It's just a big step. There's no risk, actually. Compared with other disciplines, crossing the road in Johannesburg is actually far more dangerous than jump from the Brooklands Bridge. I'm serious. You've got no risk. The risk just to overcome your fear. It's just the point. But it's actually very easy. I'm sure you can do it. It's just you need to accept, to say what I feel, why I'm so scared about it. Yeah. And if you just face it, you say, no, I can do it. And I'm sure you can.
Were you scared coming into Africa to fix this brand, expand this brand? Was it that fear that you had to overcome?
No, I was actually very proud when Mr. Pelata asked me to come, because I've been at the creation of this company in South Africa when I've been in the country for 8 years. When I arrived in 2000 to 2004, this company was very successful. We were seen as the brand to be. And for couple of reasons, this brand has just fallen. And when I've been called to fix it, it's like a call of a father, whatever, say, you need to do something for your family. And it was, I haven't hesitated, even if I've been away from my family for almost 1 year, just because I wanted just to care. It was a caring attitude. And then I'm very proud just to have revitalized with my team this company, with actually a fantastic company.
Now we know at Renault you've put an emphasis on the customer is king. The car must work and suit the needs of the customer. So customer service has been your drive. What's your personal ethos as a person, though?
For me, there's no company, there's no business, even the business on TV, if you haven't got listener or viewer. I think if you lose the pace, if you lose your focus, to say you look at yourself and you think the company or the business start with you, you're lost. You don't know yet, but you're lost. You always have to face your customer, and sometimes not the happy customer, but you have to face it. And that's your drive. That's the only aim you've got it, actually. The only aim you've got when you've got a business is to look after your customer.
Going back to this issue about whether Renault is a French brand operating in Africa, leads me to the question of post Xavier Gobille, are we ever going to see a South African and African CEO of this big international giant?
That's my wish. That's something I'm preparing. I believe that there's absolutely no reason. When I just arrived, there was, I said, too many French in this company. It was unfair to South African citizens, because everybody should aim to be at the top. Whatever the color, whatever the citizenship you've got, there's absolutely no reason that some position should be reserved for something. And I really believe, and I will be very, very proud myself if I can develop a South African citizen to take my job.
Finally, when you're not thinking Renault, when you're not thinking cars, what drives you?
I'm just passionate for anything I do, and I'm exhausting all my friends and all because everything I do it 110%. So that's me. And I don't know, perhaps my wife's going to tell me, you're going to age, you're going to be wiser. I don't think that way.
Xavier Gobille, Mr. 110% for customer satisfaction at Renault South Africa. His profile goes far beyond South Africa, having worked at Renault across the African continent. Some dark days, and today very prosperous and promising results, clawing back market share to being the number 3 most popular car brand in Africa and in South Africa. Those are the views of Renault South Africa's Managing Director, Xavier Gobille, our Captain of Industry.